coming back at you with two, I would say, forces to be reckoned with in the community, folks that contribute in a number of different ways. We're talking about Angus and Steve Wilson. Angus, give us an introduction, shall you?
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good night, I guess, around the world. So I'm Angus Red. Um, I've been working in infosec for the last 3 years, but a different side. I'm a technical recruiter. My background, I served some time in the British military, did some tours, and then I did 6 years in physical security contracting, predominantly in East and West Africa and in the Middle East. And then sort of my stars aligned. I met with our current CEO who I work with, Marcelo Mansur, and I've been working in cybersecurity recruiting since then, about 3 years now.
Beautiful. And Steve Wilson, as you're a signature person. It doesn't seem to be a conference without a lockpicking village. How are you this morning?
Yeah, yeah. I had some sleep. Was up listening quite late and kind of dozed off. I've had some technical issues this morning, but I hope things are working now and you can hear me all right.
So
Um,
far, loud and clear.
good. Let's hope it keeps going then.
Also, a bit of a military background for you as well, right, Steve?
Well, not so much. I mean, I was a civil servant. I worked in the Ministry of Defence, but never anywhere near the sharp end. I was
Okay.
always at the back, putting technology together the people slightly more braver than I would use up front. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting one, and then yeah, sidestepped into cybersecurity and been hacking things ever since.
Exactly. So, Angus, I guess we'll start sort of broad overview of 2019. What were your impressions of it? Was it a good year for you? Was it a challenging year?
It was a. I'll be honest. It was a brutally challenging year.
Okay.
I mainly do. I do technically advanced recruiting, predominantly in the US market. So
Hmm.
we do everything from like security engineering, architecture, consulting stuff like red teaming, DFIR, pen testing, and then we'll dabble in a bit of C level as well. It's been an interesting year. You quickly learn in this game that just because clients have open positions doesn't mean they're actually hiring.
Yeah.
But it's ended off well. I was meant to attend summer camp, and then I had a bit of a situation with CBP,
Hmm.
and came home straight away.
Yeah.
But no, it's been a good year and it's ended well. We had B-Sides Cape Town yesterday.
Yeah.
Chris Quebeca was with us. A lot of great talks. We had a singer from Sense Post who gave a Wi-Fi hacking workshop, which was really good. And no, it's been awesome. I think I also found my feet with the Many Hats Club this year, and um, I try direct as many people into TMHC as I can because it's an awesome group of people. It's an awesome resource, and it doesn't matter what level of competence you are in this game. I'm starting to learn a bit of forensics and OSINT and stuff, and the team on TMHC is just awesome. It doesn't matter how how basic your question is. There's always someone to help out. So no, it's been a tricky year, but it's ending on a good note, which is what matters.
I want to talk a little bit about that, Angus, because I think, I've talked about my sort of view of the industry, and I think that recruiters that have a bit of a technical background and can really work with the customer to get a job spec that is accurate to the position that they're looking for is
Mm.
truly, the height of the art. Um,
Yeah,
that
it's a
maybe,
it's an interesting thing. It's like
yeah.
so when either it's a new client or an existing client comes to us and say, hey, with some clients we'll just have like an open rec. So if we see a position on their website, we just message and say, hey, can we run with this? And they say, yeah, sure. And but with new clients, what usually happens is they say, hey, we need assistance with, let's say, a infrastructure security engineering position that
Well, yeah, yeah.
they're struggling with it. And the reason they pay us the dollar is because their internal teams are struggling to find people. And
Hmm.
there's like a very big competition between internal and external recruiters. Both hate each other, but both work together because for the common good. But when I get a job spec, I'll run through it. I'll highlight some key points. Um, but that's still not the position. We then do a call with the client, and I speak to them and I say, what is the crux of this position? What is critical about this position? What are goes and what are no goes? And then suddenly that page and a half job description comes down to about 15 lines. And then once you start speaking to people and start sending them over to clients, that job rec suddenly becomes even smaller. And then when you start sending people in and you start getting feedback on, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for, or a little bit less this, a little bit more of this, tweak this type of tech. That's when you truly find out what the position is. But
Yeah.
job recs are extremely misleading. Some of our clients have invested a lot in just job descriptions. One of our clients actually has a technical writer on the team that writes very in-depth job descriptions. But yeah, it's like resumes. It's in the eye of the beholder. Some job recs work and some not. And I guess the last thing I'll say on that is that uh, it's important people understand when they look at a job rec, it is not necessarily one job rec for one position. A lot of times, to get the word out more and to attract more people, job recs are sometimes very generalized. So the idea is it's one job rec, but there's actually three different positions that are sort of in line with it, but there's various parts. And as long as you fit it by a fair amount, by about 60%, you've got a shot at that position. But yeah, it's important to be careful with certain job descriptions.
It's funny, isn't it? Just I'll just jump in if I may. Um,
Yeah,
I, like many people in our industry, I get bombarded with LinkedIn messages from recruiters and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. And as a manager in InfoSec, I also get bombarded with recruiters wanting to sell people to me.
yeah,
Hmm.
And one thing I do see that's common, and in fact, Ian, you've got a brilliant anecdote on this as well, which I'll touch on, is organizations on their own 2 feet, find it, in my experience, impossible to recruit InfoSec people because they don't know what they're doing.
yeah,
And what you often find, and this is a reference to Ian, he shared an example with the beer farmers a couple of months ago, is organizations attempt to recruit to a single position, but try and recruit 4 or 5 different roles into that one position. So you'll often see that they want a threat hunter or a threat analyst, or they want a vulnerability manager, or they want a risk manager and a compliance officer, and everything all rolled into one position. And unfortunately, although we may have bits of that skill in our portfolio, we're not all of those things. And I think that to me presents a real problem in recruiting into the industry. What are your thoughts, Angus?
yeah. So the ironic thing, so our company, Rare Blue Security, has been going about 5 years. It started off recruiting a bit in the UK, and then it focused more on the US and client. A lot of the things that a lot of other recruiting agencies see as their unique selling points is what we use as negatives. So a lot of companies, when they want to hire a lot of people, they come to us and say, "Look, she must like to come to them. We can do 20 resumes a week per position, and this, that, and the other." And in the end, that just creates more spam in the point of contact's email box. That means more people have to be interviewed and less people are getting hired. And what we do is we spend a lot of time in doing research. We spend a lot of time speaking to key players in the industry to understand what we're actually looking for.
Sure.
It's very easy to do a call with someone and they talk a lot of technical jargon and you don't have a Scooby Doo what they're talking about. You can get away with that to a certain degree, but I've got to the point now where I'm confident enough where if someone mentions a technology that I've never heard of, and what happens is we do very small, very niche recruiting. So with some of our best clients, we will if that, but we get a near 1-to-1 interview ratio. And sometimes new clients are a bit, the English Afrikaans word is iffy. They're a bit like, I don't know if you're the right company to work with us. But within about 3 to 4 weeks, they realize that almost everyone we're sending them is getting through interview stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're going on site and people are getting offered. And I think that's why it's important to choose who you do your recruiting with, because it's a it's an interesting game, but there's a lot of nonsense out there. I think I get offered about 3 to 4 CISO jobs a week,
Mm.
because people
Wow.
look at my job title, they see the industry I'm in, and they're like, they send out a mass in-mail to 400 people, and that's just something that we refuse to do, because once again, it might work for you short term, but long term, you're damaging your reputation.
Steve,
And
oh, I
very
thought,
few companies are in. Also, something we do. We're vested. I yesterday was an organ. Yeah,
no, it's good. Just continue because I was going to jump over to Steve and talk about his recruiting experiences in a
yeah,
second.
definitely.
You want me
Oh,
to step in?
yeah, Steve, come on in.
Well, so I mean, I'm a terrible person to ask about this because, so I mean, I'm old, right? I'm not one of these people that jumps around. You know, my first job I did 11 years at, and I thought that was a job for life. The next job, you know, I only did 5, but that's because the company went bankrupt. I've been in the current role for, what's it, getting on for 9 now, with
Yeah.
no intention to move.
You
I've
get
actually,
pestered a lot, though.
well, no. So I've worked out. I've managed to stop recruitment people talking to me pretty much at all, via one clever trick, which was, you know, so I used to, I mean, like everybody else, I used to, you know, be harassed left, right, and centre. I just point out to them that I know more people than they do. I know the roles they're recruiting for, and if I go direct, I'll get their fee paid to me as a joining bonus. So why would I? Why would I want a recruiter? I mean,
Ooh.
again, I'm sorry, it's probably going to start arguments. But yeah, no, I mean, I see value in, you know, if you're new to the industry, if and I mean, again, this is why I get involved in things like conferences and sort of cybersecurity challenge
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Is you know, I'm all for getting more people into the industry because frankly, the less work for me to do, the happier I am. But you know, I mean, there definitely is. You know, again, you know, there's so much work going, and there's so many people. So I come at it more from a mentoring point of view. You know, I mentor people. I try and help people where I can, and get people involved. And no offense to Angus, I tend to try and avoid recruiters because again, it's not something I'm looking for. You know,
No, no, it's
it's
cool.
of no use to me personally. But it's nice to see people doing it well, because I mean that's the other thing. Of course, you know, you hear so many stories, you know, horror stories of bad recruiters. So like I say, it's nice to see people approaching it, you know, more professionally.
Well, I think one of the things that I've noticed is that there's now a pretty heavy emphasis on the tech resume. You know, the little paragraph about me, followed by, a highlight of some of the
Yeah,
experience I've had.
it's
How important is that, Angus?
so one thing that most agencies do when they get a resume, they will completely strip it and put it into a format like their company's format. The format they use, they pull all the things. Sometimes the resume is terrible. We'll give people some advice, but we prefer to send a resume as it is, because it is, in the end of the day, a personal reflection on this candidate's story. I've seen some amazing resumes, and I've seen some absolutely terrible resumes. And the best resumes, with like, I think it's a nat, and it has like ratings on it. They look really good, and if you've got the experience to back up what you say you can do, then it looks really good. I'm not that bothered with various formats of resume, as long as it communicates accurately what you have done in the past, what you're doing currently, and what you would like to do in the future. The problem comes in is when someone overstates their abilities. I've got a fairly good eye now for someone that is going to be good at job X or job Y, but I miss details sometimes, and then those people get through. And the problem is, you can try um, pull the wool over from myself, and chances are you'll come right, and you'll come right with many other recruiters. But at some point, doing a technical screen or doing an on-site, you're going to be found. So it's best to just be straightforward and honest. But the new style of tech resume is very easy on the eye. I quite like them, but it's put your own flavor into it is what I would say.
Yeah. Cool. So, Steve, I want to talk a little bit about it. You brought up the idea of conferences and encouraging people to go to conferences. Do you see a lot of active recruiting going on, or do you see a lot of networking opportunities?
Oh, I mean, I'm forever saying, it's not about what you know. It's all about networking. And I mean, I'm a horribly antisocial, quiet person,
Yeah.
so it's hard work,
Except
right?
that you run the lock picking table that
But
everybody
but
enjoys.
but again, but that's a great excuse. That is because I can sit and explain things to people, and it gives me an avenue to start talking to people and something to to engage about. But yeah, let's say I'm and, I'm involved in running sort of local DEFCON groups, that sort of stuff. So
Mhm.
my one bit of advice for people is always, get yourself involved in the community somehow. Be it going along to a local group, getting along to a bigger conference. But I mean, the other thing I will definitely encourage people is get involved in the organisation. I mean, I've been helping run conferences for the best part of 20 years, and I've never done one where I thought, oh, we've got far too much help here. Like I could do with
Mhm.
fewer people. And then
Yeah.
again, the lock pickings, is a case in point. I mean, again, we put in an awful lot of effort. Where they're really setting up, where we've got to transport all the stuff, we've got to run it all day, and often that means at events, I might not see anything other than the inside of the lock picking room. So again, the more bodies I can get to help, the more we can spread the work around. And I've had some wonderful helpers. Yeah, I could not have done the number of events I've done this year without the copious number of helpers, far too many to list in the time we've got left. And I thank each and every one of them. But yeah, no, people get involved, help out, attend, meet people, and your careers will grow from that. Yeah, let's say no, it's been a tiring year. We've done this year comparatively, massively more than years gone by, and I think next year is only going to be busier. But again, if anybody's interested in helping out with any, well, I mean, maybe not talk to me about, but certainly on the lock picking side, if you want to get involved and come and help, I will definitely talk to you and take you up on it. It's worthwhile. I get a lot out of it, and I would encourage other people to get involved in a
Well,
similar fashion.
I certainly was blown away when you showed me the four digit combination lock vulnerability where I could be into one of those in less than 3 seconds.
Mm.
So really, really interesting stuff. Angus, you've obviously been doing this recruiting now for 3 years. Are you finding that it's getting a little bit easier because companies are getting more informed, or is it still really variable? Companies want, you know, a ridiculous skill set for a non, shall we say, London market price.
Yeah, it's so sporadic and random and varied. It's absolutely unreal, and it there's many factors into it. It has to do with culture at a company. It has to do with how they hire, how they hand out titles. There's so many different variables in it. The best work that I do, and this is advice I give to any internal recruiter that does work with agencies. Like I said earlier, make sure you pick the right company to work with, and if they're a good company that you've chosen and you've been vetted and you've asked around about them, have an open relationship with this recruiter. Send feedback, and when someone doesn't meet the cut, tell the people why they didn't meet the cut, because that allows someone to improve themselves. And also, if you don't, which has happened before, it creates a negative impression about us as an agency, and it creates an even worse impact for the client, on something like Glassdoor. But it's maybe things will stabilize at some point, but things are still extremely sporadic. We have some clients that we work fast, they hire fast, everything goes well, and then with others, it's like pulling blood from stone. But with my current client, I'm quite happy and quite impressed. We have a very small number of clients, but we work extremely well with them.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We're at the 10:35, so we're at the wrap. Thank you for being part of BeerCom One. Urge everyone listening to donate. We are doing well, but we are not in the gravy zone where all of a sudden 1,000 becomes 2,000. So if you could find it in your hearts to do some donations, we would really appreciate it. Gentlemen, thank you again for making the time for us this morning.
Thanks, guys.
No, you're more than welcome. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
It was an absolute pleasure. Get donating.
Thank you.